Okay, so I wanted to do a follow-up video with my story and experience being baptized. So I am currently going through a divorce. We're about 8 months in the process, almost. 3 girls, one adult. The other two are minors, but teens, girls. And to say that the divorce has been difficult is an understatement. It's been excruciating. So, as I've gone through this process of trying to live a new life and readjusting after 22 years, you can imagine how much of a change that is from going a mom that's constantly doing things nonstop with my kids 100% all the time to a dead stop is a loneliness I can't even explain. But in the last 2 years, I've really had a heaviness to seek Christ harder. I've had a really heaviness that He's trying to prepare me, trying to prepare everyone, that He's calling us to follow Him, and that something big is coming. And so in my prayer in the last 2 years, over 2 years, it's gotten stronger and stronger. And during this time, a lot has gone on in my marriage that I won't go into, but to the point where praying and losing myself in the process, God gave me the clarity and the peace to that this was the closing of a chapter for me. It's really extremely hard to talk about. It's somebody that you love for 22 years, that you've built a life with, you've raised children with, and I just put my trust in God during all of it. During this process of going through all these motions that you can only imagine, everything that goes into you if you've been through a divorce, how excruciating it can be, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. You can get in some pretty dark places, and you really come to find that God is your only true outlet. He is the only one for complete healing and understanding, because He walked through every step of it with you. He knows what you went through, what you're going through currently, what you will go through. And you learn to surrender everything, lay it at His feet, just let it go, because it's so much that you can't carry. And He asks us to give it to Him, and that we aren't to carry it. He died on the cross so that we didn't have to carry these sins, these burdens, these worries and pain. And so, the flesh, we want to fight, right? That's your kids. That's a life that you're so used to. And you come to a place where for me, mentally, I couldn't do it anymore. I've never been in such dark places that I was in. Hating myself, feeling unworthy, unloved, Um, like I'm a failure, like I'm a bad mom. You can't even imagine the emotions that Satan will drag you through when you are fully surrendering yourself to Christ. And it's so emotional to talk about because, again, this has been years of these battles, but really hard last 8 months of extreme battles that, crying so hard, like blood curdling cries that I've never done in my life that I can recall. Um, and just crying out to God, why? And finally realizing that it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be me hurting, me crying. And that's not what Christ says about us. That's not who he says we are. And anything that tells you different is a liar. It's Satan. It's demons. It's his demons coming through to you to destroy you. And the spiritual warfare is real. And man, I can't even explain to you, or I just can't even tell you what that looks like. If you've been through it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it is something that you don't think that you are even capable of doing mentally. So, without going into details of the divorce and what led to that, that's a whole nother story. I wanted to tell you guys about my baptism and kind of what led up to that and my experience. So I was baptized about 22 years ago. It was right before we got married, or right after, honestly. Sadly, I don't remember when it was. I have a certificate, but I don't have it right now to be able to check that date. I knew at that time, like, I didn't really know what the true meaning of baptism was. I mean, I know you die of your old self, and I knew the basics, but I didn't know what that entailed afterwards. Like how you are to seek Christ after that. And I think a lot of people struggle with the same thing. It's so common in churches to be baptized, but not to do the follow through, to not teach you how to continue to seek Christ, how to live to live Christ-like, and what it is to grow in Him, to stay humble, to be able to handle the spiritual warfare that comes afterwards. And I'm living proof that that happened after mine. I gave up. It's hard. It is hard. Right now is the hardest season of my life. And man, the spiritual warfare, I know I keep talking about it, but it is Satan hard at work at every single angle of your life. And there's so many things that surprise you, actions, just all of it from other people. And it builds you though. Like going through that spiritual warfare and actually staying steadfast, being still, going through it, trusting God, rebuking Satan through it all. And I can't tell you, rebuking Satan, I can't tell you how many times a day I rebuke Satan, even still, even now. It's so hard. But you have to be steadfast. And I wasn't. I let go. It's easier to live in the flesh, to not sit there and fight Satan. And now I know that it's more important than ever to keep staying steadfast, to remain diligent and be discerning and see, people for who they are, for seeing actions for what they are. You really learn to seek Christ in a different way. And it's beautiful. It really is. It hurts. It's hard. I'm not going to lie to you, it is the hardest thing I've ever done. But once you get through that and you know what's to come, and that it's building you, it's refining you, that was something with going into my baptism this time around. I have been thinking about it for a while now, but I knew that studying it and knowing how I felt the first time, that I truly didn't surrender. I didn't truly repent. I didn't seek Christ fully. And so knowing now that I will die for Christ, I will do whatever it takes on this earth to reach his kingdom, to serve him. I don't care anymore. I don't care what people think of me. I don't care, what that looks like to other people. I don't. And that right there for me is extremely hard. I'm definitely a people pleaser, always have been. I don't want people to be mad at me. Like, I'm very in tune to people's emotions. So it makes it extremely hard on me mentally when I feel somebody's upset with me, somebody's angry with me, or, I go down that path and it just gets darker and darker. And I just get in my head. So with discernment and knowing that in order to follow Christ fully, you have to surrender it all. You have to surrender it all. I felt like being baptized again was a way of me doing it right this time, doing it by someone that is led by the Spirit, and not just flesh. They truly are led by the Spirit, and they're letting God do the work. And there's a difference. That makes a big difference. And I know kind of went off track, but so I have been wanting to go be baptized. I don't know if you guys have heard of Kayla Gabbard Ministries, or Meet Me in the Water. I've been watching her and Pastor Elwood for a few years now. And I've just had a really heaviness to have her ministry baptize me. And so last year she came to Oklahoma and I missed it by a week. I was so upset, so upset. I was looking forward to it. I don't even know how I missed it. I'd been checking her calendar and I just missed it. So this year, I looked and I saw that she was going to be in Kansas, and that's the closest for me that's been on the calendar for her so far this year. So I knew that when she comes May 2nd and 3rd, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there early Saturday morning, and I am going to remove these chains. I'm going to drop them. I'm going to be done with this. So last week was the hardest mental week of my life. I have always kind of struggled a little bit with stress and anxiety that came with a lot of things in my life. But last week, Satan attacked hardcore. And I knew that he was working on me because he knew I was going to give my life to Christ. He knew I was going to be his vessel and that he was no longer going to have a hold of me. And so come Thursday and Friday, actually it was like Wednesday of last week, this past weekend is whenever I was baptized. So that Wednesday prior is when I was full flesh, hard, having panic attacks. And I've not had panic attacks ever that I know of, that I remember, that I recall. And it was just, I would wake up and it just hit me, literally, like that. Like I just woke up. I don't even have time to think. And my body is just panic attack mode. And so I'm praying hard each morning. I wake up, I pray hard. I pray for God to get in my head before I do, really. For me, calmness in the morning is to focus on, I can hear the birds outside. They wake me up each morning, and it's so beautiful. But being able to focus on that wasn't even, it was just, my mind was just going and going and going. And so I pushed through work. And then Thursday and Friday, Thursday I woke up and I was just physically sick, And Satan was attacking big time. And I'm a little, I was ashamed to talk about it, but I want others to know that this is what happens when you know that Satan's attacking and you're on the right path to, follow Christ. Satan doesn't like it. He knows what's to come. But I truly had thoughts of